Heyo! Welcome to Benchwarmers WOSO podcast, episode 32. I don't know any. I can't think of any 32s off the top of my head. Kairakuni Cross. That's the one. That's the only one that matters, to be honest. And is pressing for what we are going to be talking about first, as we had no club football this week, as we had an international break. It's not really a break. It's like international qualifiers and everything. It is like a break, but it's like they are playing hard football. It's not like they're taking the piss or anything.
No friendlies.
So,
some friendlies, but not many.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't really consider them friendlies in that right, I guess. I mean, we can consider the ones we're about to talk about friendly in a lot of ways, as we talk about the first of a few FIFA series, which is their new thing. Is this their new promo kind of vibe? The FIFA series,
it's the new Argive Cup. It's the new Nations League situation.
The new Norwich Hospital Cup as well. Like Jesus, the trophy we were lifting at the end of this. But it is a good place to start, which is the green and gold. I'm not wearing the right green and gold, to be honest, but I'm wearing an admirable green and gold right now, because we will talk about the Matildas, a different breed, as many will call them. But after the kind of disappointing performance of the Asia Cup final, when we got to the final and didn't deliver on the biggest stage of the tournament, we decided the first thing to do is to play Malawi and Kenya, and a Chawinga-less Malawi, to really make it all the more an entertaining precedent. But we went to Africa, as Samko would say, to play both games. We went to play Malawi and we battered them, which was interesting to see. In a few ways, this could have been worse. We probably could have got 6, 7, 8 goals if we really took the game on serious, but I feel like there was a little bit of impetus in that game, and it showed in the next game. But we'll start with Malawi, where we had EVE, our longest serving general, scoring the opening goal. That was her 33rd international goal in her 174th cap, which is extending her lead ahead of Polks and Devana and Salisbury and all the rest of the Tillies. Shows that I'm studying up my Matildas leggy, am I? I don't know. There's not much. Like, yes, we can talk about the goals. I think 40's play to Sam Kerr. It went straight through the keeper. Like, there's no celebration. There's no feeling in this game. That was the problem I had with this game, is that even when we scored, it didn't look like we deserved the goals we scored, or we didn't really treat it as if this was like a series to be won. It was just something that was a given, and I don't think, other than the one big chance at the end of the half where Wheeler really makes a mess of the front post and Macca makes a triple save, which look, I didn't have Macca triple save on the bingo card for this game, but good to know that she was alive, awake, alert, and enthusiastic for this game. Unlike the Tillies shape in late in that first half, where they probably could have developed more, and they looked, I mean, Malawi, imagine that was Chawinga. I mean, that would have been a goal, and then you have game on, and all of a sudden it's a completely different outlook. But the second half was better. I think Malawi did have their moments, but I just think it was good pressure. And then good to know Jomo is one of the many managers in WOSO world that does listen to the Benchwarmers, as we had Chids through the centre of the park starting this game, and then eventually scoring her first goal since February 2023. So 3 years since that. Good to know that she can get that space to take that shot on left foot as well. Everyone getting around her when she scored as well, which shows how much she means to the Tillies. And then, I mean, again, another 2 takes of ours that are just proven right. Jomo clearly is just a true Ben Leggy pilled benchwarmer, as we had Jamila Rankin assisting Holly McNamara. This is like my Tillies Roman Empire goal. Yeah, I mean, look, we're not really the biggest Remy Simpson fans, but she did the very good pass to find Rankin, who found McNamara at the back post. Like, this is just a goal that shows the Tillies' future in a lot of ways. I think yeah, it's not real adversity, but then also Rasso is the one in the center of the park setting up Seamson for that ball. So Rasso made two assists or two like score involvements, let's say, because the assist to Letitia McKenna's debut goal was Rasso megging the Malawi defender for McKenna's strike. But I don't know. I just feel like this game falls on deaf ears a little bit. It doesn't really matter that we won 5-0 because like it's just such a vast difference in quality, in ranking, in every single metric where I feel like the game is void of the passion and spirit of some of the other games in the international break. And while it can be a geographical issue, obviously we're going to Africa. We can go and I know Europe are doing their own qualifiers, but there are teams out there to be played that I think are more worthwhile in my head.
I said this to you. This was definitely Australia's copium post Asia Cup. I think that I don't know the ins and outs of how these football games are organized, but there is definitely a systemic issue when it comes to organizing genuine opposition against the Matildas. And I think that you're so right in saying that there was a lack of heart, a lack of genuine effort in both games, really, but a genuine effort that I don't see in many Matildas friendly games. And this is because either they're playing at home and the impetus is on them because they know that they have a sold out crowd and the eyes of a nation is watching them, or they're going to a continent that is completely detached footballing wise from Australia and Europe, which are the two hotbeds for the Australian football watcher. And we're seeing games at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. No one is tuning in for, the normal human everyday person watching the Matildas.
The benchwarmers are tuning in.
Yeah, we're tuning in, but no one else is.
But even we were, but like, again, we match the energy of the Tillies that are playing. Like, we're watching this game, and like, many of our friends were like, oh, we watched a little bit, and then we turned it off because, like, what are we here to see? We're here to see you guys. Like, think about if Spain were going in to pack in Malawi, right? They would win this game 17-18-0. All the criticism towards DPRK, right? And when they play their games and they beat the teams that they come up against 13-14-0. There's no reason why we couldn't be doing that as well to buff up our rank, to buff our play.
It's not even that though. Like DPRK play those teams because it's an ideological endeavor for them.
Of course.
But for us, when was the last time Spain played Kenya or Malawi? When was the last time the US did? When was the last time Japan did? Like if we're putting ourselves in the same echelon as these world-class teams, then why are we playing, in no offense, like literally no offense, second string Sunday League-esque football teams? These are not the teams that the Matildas should be playing if they want to be winning or even just competing in tournaments, and they're seeing themselves as a top 15 team, which they are.
And I think it's even generous to call it second string, because I would argue that, like, if we move on to the next game in Kenya, I would say Malawi in some ways are actually a lot better than Kenya. Ultimately, Malawi with the Chewinga sisters beat Kenya, obviously. So it's a different story. Obviously, that's what manifested in our game. But the Kenya game was more endemic of what I think the Tillies' biggest problem is to kill off games, to actually finish the games. And yes, okay, should it have been 3-0? Sure. Should Caitlin Ford's goal have counted and Sayer's ball that was actually a cross, not a crot, end up in the back of the net, and you have that and it's 3-0, it's still 3-0. There were so many chances in that game to make it more than 3-0. And I just felt like that was the second half. The second half was the chance to make it 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. The first half was actually a bit of a wake-up call for us to get back in this game, because I felt like, I don't know, am I wrong to say that Kenya had like some of the better chances in this half?
I was watching the game live, and I can tell you that Kenya looked better on attack, specifically down the right-hand side. They looked the more likely to score, but they also looked the more likely to go into the half winning. I think that Sam Kerr's goal was completely fortuitous. It was a mistake by a goalkeeper who was doing actually quite well up until that point. But this is the problem with, Sam Kerr facing up against these weaker defenses, is that she's going to capitalize on her opportunity. On the other hand, I don't think it's anything that the Matildas did, but rather what Kenya did, which saw them not score. It was just missed opportunities, a hitting of the goalpost, squaring the ball up to basically no one despite having the momentum to go forward. It's all these small things rankings that like we're playing a 100 and something side in the FIFA rankings. We're, as I said before, in the teens, and we should be flogging in that like very Australian way, flogging these sides, and we're not. And it just leaves a bad taste in the mouth going into halftime, seeing the side go into a huddle and Sam Kerr basically like telling them off like they're school children in a way like get your act together because Kenya on the other side are invigorated by that, especially last 15 minutes of the first half.
100%. And just to like clear up your numbers, if you will, they're ranked 128.
Yeah.
128. We're in the top 20. We're what currently 15th, I
Yep.
believe, and ahead of China. Behind teams that do play in the realms of like when we talk about second string teams, I'm thinking about Haiti. I'm thinking about Northern Ireland, Romania, like Thailand. Thailand are levels,
Cyprus.
yeah, levels above. These are teams that are triple the ranking of the teams we're coming up against here, and I think. I mean, I wanted to talk more about Sam Kerr's goal because before the goal, Kerr had a one-on-one, and the keeper came out, and we watched Sam Kerr in what was it against China in a semi-final, skip around the keeper, play the
Yeah.
ball, pass the defender, and score that. And then in this game, she's tried to use her outside of the foot, her right foot, and it slices off. It hits the keeper. It's like she was trying to play for the corner, seriously. And I'm like watching this, I'm like, this is your bag. Your bag is being one on one with the keeper. The keeper comes out and you just slip past them, and then you play it with your left foot, and you do that. And you scored your last three goals in that Asia Cup were with your left foot and your head. So don't act like your outside of the right foot is the thing to be working on. When Rasso's follow up and like energetic pace off the right is the reason we got the corner that you had the back post shot and then end up with a 75th goal that is not one to really remember in a way because it's just a goalkeeper's error. But I mean, Torpy got cooked. Torpy got cooked, and Rasso was doing well. I think that was that moment where Arnold tips the ball onto the crossbar, and then there was another one where I think Rankin gets caught out ball watching, and then Adiambo hits the post with that final touch of the half. But yeah, it was an interesting first half to say the least. I think we did gain a bit more semblance of control in that second half, and the second goal was from Claire Wheeler, her third goal in the Tillies shirt. Ford did very well to get her separation, and then Claire Wheeler. I mean, look, Ford gets an assist, but my God, Wheeler, the ability to get through three players like that was easy as you like, and it was her third international goal in 41 appearances, which is impressive. I still want to see her do it more. I want to see her up the field more because I feel like we've shoehorned her into this like box, not even a box to box. We've allowed Gorry to be the box to box or EVE to be the base, and then she has to do the up and down work. But clearly, Claire Wheeler is more. I don't know. I still think she's more attacking, and some will say she's the water carrier. And I think when you're playing for Everton in the WSL, and you have to be the water carrier for the midfielders around you, and like creative flair of players like Vignola and Gargo, you have to give the ball to those players. She has the ability to do this, and I think we need to. If this is something we believe she can do, then we've got to facilitate it more for her. And I think that comes from opening up opportunities like that, and you can only get more confidence from goals like that.
I think we've said it a bunch now, and I think I've said it a lot. I think Claire Wheeler is our best midfielder. I think if you're not going to play Mary Fowler in the 10, which I wish she wasn't in this particular international window because Jomo wanted to give her time post Rico. But I think if you're taking her out away from that number 10, I think Claire Wheeler has all of the aspects and all of the ability in her game to play in any of those roles. We haven't really seen her in the 10, but I have no doubt that she can play in the 10. I just think her best position is in the 8, especially when she has a midfield that is not going to work as much, like a midfield that is going to box crash, that is going to hold steady like an EVE. She's the one that's going to get the ball back, is going to make efforts. I mean, I think one of our best goals in our first goal of the Asia Cup came from a Claire Wheeler
The cross.
cross. And she can do that as much as she can defend when on transition. So Claire Wheeler is like one of those assets in midfield that we're going to have. And the funny thing is, and you mentioned it a few podcasts ago, she's not young. And yet we're still treating her like she's, like you said, an under 50 cap player, which in the Tilly sense is actually young because of just how young they start out. I mean, Ellie
and
Carpenter's
then
a perfect
how
example.
old they finish.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Claire Wheeler's probably got another 10 years in a Tilly's shirt, and that's the thing because that's the reality of how we do it. Is that once you're in, you're in, and
Mm,
there's not really much taking you out, barring a blunder or a dip in form or whatever.
mm,
Like I think she's marked as one of the Matildas people. Like she's not like under the radar as a Tilly. It's not like we're calling for Chitty. Like when we call for Chidiac to play, it's because there is a reason why she's in and out. In the sense of like her form hikes and dips. Claire Wheeler is one of the most consistent players
yeah.
for club and country,
Hmm.
and will continue to do so at the level that she desires. And I think that obviously we both think that ceiling is higher than what she's currently playing. Other than that, we don't really have to talk about that third disallowed goal. I think 40. It's a good ball. It's a good cross from Sayer. I think that's the best move from Sayer I saw in those two games as a whole. I think good to know she's kind of nailed that right wing spot down. I feel like she wasn't really a winger to start out with when she was joining the Tillies. I feel like she wanted to be the 9, like not the
Hmm.
replacement for Sam, but like the one coming on for Sam. But I think we've kind of nailed down her position in a way that's more beneficial to her, and I think Maka will be the one through the centre who replaces Sam. And then I don't know, it was just seeing out the game, bit of game management. It felt a bit Jomo Arsenal, one of those one-off games that happened like in that era where obviously Jomo is goals galore, but there were games where you did just hold out the game and you just think to yourself, like it was kind of reminiscent of the tie. Who do we play? The Philippines game, the 1-0, the first game of the tournament, where we just facilitated how many chances and just didn't deliver on all fronts. And it's not like we were breaking down a low block, but we were just not clinical in our chances, a bit profligate in front of goal, and that is something to work on for when we're playing against top level sides.
I think that if we move on to a team that was not profligate in front of goals, we go to Brazil and I think Canada as well, South Korea. They were in like this weird second bracket. I don't really know how this FIFA series works
I
because
have no idea. You know who
when I
does
saw
know?
final, who?
Where's my ball cap? Gianni knows. Gianni, the all-knowing, all-powerful god, knows how this tournament works.
I
But
have no
none
idea.
of the players do.
When I saw final, I thought, okay, so like they're gonna win their bracket and then go up against a team of Brazil or Canada or whoever was winning. But no, like it was just a completely different
I'd love
tournament,
if
like
we
the
get to
B
play
side.
Brazil again. Oh,
Yeah, oh my
Wara
God.
a Brazil
Yeah.
game again. But, geez, that South Korea game. I mean, Brazil scored 11 goals in 2 games so far. They did the 6-1 against Barbara
Yeah.
Bander's Zambia. And, I mean, if you want to watch that game, it's just vibes and
Yeah.
good energy going around in that game. But the South Korea game is the one that shows the genuine levels between the top titans of South America and Asia, because we struggled with, well, like we did well against
We
Japan
lost to
did.
South
Yeah,
Korea.
no. I'm thinking about no. Didn't we draw? Did we draw?
No, sorry,
Oh,
we drew to South
we
Korea.
drew to South Korea. Japan smashed South Korea,
Yeah.
but this was a battering. This was a
Mm.
true blue battering, a true green and gold battering, and it was all basically in the second half. So the 1st half, yes, Ari Borges's goal, good deflection, good setup, good interplay from the set piece, Borges and Haas working together. It is a weird lineup. Like when you think of Brazil teams, like you kind of just know where they're playing, where they're from, but there is a little bit of homegrown talent coming through in this Brazil side, which I love, by the way. I love, like, this is something that where the dub fails itself, where we don't get many dub talents in there. And that's why it's good to see McKenna and players like McNamara do well, because then they come back and we go, all right, we have Matildas playing in our league. That's what we need. So players like Bahia and Morano, who are both Palmeiras players, cooking the crap out of South Korea late on in this game, shows that Palmeiras, they go home to Palmeiras and they're like, we have 2 Yoga Bonito stars in this. And then I watch City on the weekend and I see Kerolin, who played, half a game of football and ended up with a 10 out of 10 score because she set up 4 of the 5 goals when she was on the field
Yeah.
for. Like, she was involved in every single goal. She was murdering their back line. And I mean, this is what Kerolin does. This is the thing she can do. And obviously, when Kerolin's worst is painful. It is really hard to watch because you know she's capable of this, all right? So, she was on the field for 15 seconds and Bahia plays that long ball over the top. She takes the ball, she chops the defender and then plays the ball across to Ludmilla, taps it in. It's 2-0. Then Ari Borges over the top to Kerolin. Kerolin takes it down. Hezzy's perfect past the defender, crosses it to Dudinya, and obviously Dudinya just overruns the ball, but who cares, because you can just bicycle kick it into the goal like that. That was just the most ridiculous, like most nonchalant bicycle kick that didn't probably get the PR it deserved. Imagine if, again, look, if Alessia Russo did that, we would be seeing it on our timeline every day of the week. But, I mean, Alessia did something impressive as well, and that was on my timeline too, but we'll get to that game eventually. But 4-0 was Ludmilla playing Kero in. She chops the defender again. She chips the keeper. She can never score, just a bash into the net. Like, obviously that, I forgot who was the goal against. I think it was it Villa? No, it wasn't Villa. Villa was the 1-0. It was the 5-1. I think it was Tottenham.
Spurs?
Yeah, Tottenham was that long shot strike into that top right corner, I believe. Or top left corner from the right side. Like, she can do it all. She really can just do any finish she wants. The low along the ground, the chip over the top bin strike. She has them all in the bag, and they're just dancing. They're having great vibes. This is home tournament aura energy coming through. We already talked about the Morano goal, and then there was a consolation for South Korea, where Letitia and Maritza just clatter into each other, the two Brazilian defenders, and then AC Milan's Park Soo-jong capitalises on the goal. Good to see Park on the score sheet off the bench. But look, Yoga Bonito is like well and true. Like, I know it's martyrless. I know it's a different Brazil, obviously. But is this team on for something serious in their own home tournament?
I think we've said individually together like that we think that this is going to be a massive tournament for Brazil. I think that 2023 was a rejigging of the system of a team that had changed since 2019. And then we had the Olympics where we saw it was a legacy project, really. It was kind of the Messi-esque do it for Marta. It was a really near perfect tournament for Brazil, honestly. But I think with this particular World Cup, having the home ground advantage, having this new crop of players not only like come up into this Brazil team, but doing stuff on a European level at the highest level, Kerolin probably being the biggest, you're going to see a level of quality and a level of genuine like ability and belief that is just beyond just that Matildas-esque home tournament factor. It's going to be genuine footballing ability that's going to get them, I believe, to a semi-final. And if not, then I think that we're just going to have like a very interesting Brazil tournament anyway.
It'll all depend on that backline. I think we all know that their ability to go forward, regardless of the personnel, the names, their culture gets them over the line in the front forward. They just know how to play with each other. The fluidity in attack. It doesn't matter if they're 19 or 30. Like, if it's Debinha or Gio or Kerolin or Luani or Ludmilla, like, the players will do it, right? And obviously you have your youngsters coming through like Bahia and then Yasmine in the defense, and like, I don't know if
Tassian,
I don't know if it's Tassian. That's the thing. If we're relying on Tassian to be the like Naomi Girma of the Yoga Bonito
she plays in
backline,
centre back.
Exactly. She plays centrally. She's the tall, like, she's the one with the most experience. She's playing at the highest level of all the Brazilian players, in my opinion. I mean, you say Carolin's doing it in Europe. She's doing it in England. We haven't seen her in Europe just yet. We haven't seen her come up against Esme Brutes. We haven't seen her come up against Salma Basha and do it at the top level. And don't get me wrong, I am excited for next year where those games will be a reality, but we have to see the biggest players on the biggest stages. And it is sometimes it is a 1-0 Luani header that gets you a 1-0 Luani or 1-0 Tassian that gets you over the line in big finals. And that's what happened against Spain in that tournament. But then for every tournament like that, you had the World Cup where they got knocked out in the groups, right? Where Jamaica gave them work, and they ended up finished out of the groups, and that's all.
Did
That's
they?
all
I thought they got knocked out by Japan. Would they finish out of the group? I completely
I think
forgot.
they got grouped because the 0-0 against Jamaica, I believe. Yeah, so it's just one of those tournaments where I just see a little bit of like, you don't know what you're going to get from them, because if they fail miserably in their own home tournament, it's disappointing, but you can kind of see it coming because it's not the same Brazil. But then if they do well in the tournament, you can be like, well, okay, we did know this. So we're not like covering all bases. I just think that there is a bigger likelihood that they turn up in their own home tournament with their whole crowd behind them. Playing games in the Maracanã will be absolutely mental. I think they have one game in Porto Alegre, and that's about it. But I mean, we are so excited for 27, and these two games where they score 11 goals is exactly why we're excited for that. We will jump straight into my homeland against South Korea. I mean, South Korea just got a battering this week. I am so sorry, but Canada. I mean, Canada with interesting comms, American comms, but we had Casey Stoney playing in Evelyn Veens. Veens found the goal, and then it was Lacasse as well was involved in this first goal. It was so interesting, the comms. We got a Veens Vidi Vici, I heard in the commentary box, which, I mean, I love my team and my country, and the 2020, what was it, the 2020 Olympics were fantastic, but when have we came, swore, and conquered anything since that tournament?
Is it to do with the Veens Roma connection? Is that
Well,
where that's what we're going with?
sure, okay, maybe that makes more sense. That's a bit of a leap. I think that's a bit of a
I don't
leap
think
in
it's that
logic
much
for
of
an
a
American
leap.
commentary. But what? Like, I just don't think. Again, okay, I guess they conquered the league, but still, it's just weird comms. Veens Vidi Vici. I feel like she's written that down way too long ago. But game's the game. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. But we had Canada reduced to 10 players because my defensive goat and probably team of the season in the WSL this season, Jade Rose, was sent off for what I can only call a perfect intervention on Son Hwa-yeon. Look, that is a challenge and a half. She was so shocked that she was sent off. She had her back to the referee while the ref gave her the red. She turns around, she's like, "What? Am I off? Like, are you serious?" That was insane, by the way. And look, the free kick goes hard. Kim's free kick was absolutely insane. So, you know what? Way to turn the free kick into a straight up penalty. And then we had Vanessa Gilles come on, and the rest is history. I mean, there's not much to say other than, as an Arsenal fan, can you tell me how you feel about the fact that Gilles has scored a brace of headers to win her country, a game that probably they not necessarily deserve to win in that every aspect of the game, but also is winning in a way that's conducive to some of the biggest issues that Arsenal have had.
Well, I mean, I think if Bayern are going to beat Barcelona, that is the way that they're going to do it, is through set pieces, potentially. I think that's also kind of undermining just like all the work that Bayern can do on transition. But I mean, Gilles is just so prolific in front of goal with the head. I think that I don't even think it's a hot take to say that she's the best header in women's football right now. I don't think we see a player having the amount of goals, true appearances with a head. It's Alex Pop levels for a centre half. And look, if Bayern are going to do it, then they're going to do it with all their players, and it's going to be with a hegemon, like literally head German, like
hegemon. Well, I'm here
like
for it.
Vanessa Gilles. But in this game, for example, I don't think that Canada are a team that heavily rely upon set pieces, but in the past they have. If you look at the best of Canada, it's actually been a lot through set pieces, a lot through the likes of corners, the likes of free kicks that have gotten them very good results against sides in Asia, in Europe, that haven't been accustomed to that defensive astuteness for set pieces. But Vanessa Jules is just like a game changer. She just is. And I think with a Canadian perspective that you have, I mean, it's kind of, you're very fortunate in a way that she has developed into this like header master.
Yeah, and I think this does make up for how many headed goals did we see from that, like our best era, our Christine Sinclair era of football. I mean, Prince used to be very prevalent on the wide areas to whip those balls into a player like her. But I think Stoney has a lot to answer for in the ability to just break the ball through our first third, because Emma Regan absolutely gets pressed to death by South Korea's midfield line, Denver Summit's own, and Sheridan's pass wasn't great, and we were so lucky that Jung Yoo-jin missed that one-on-one chance, because if she scored that, it's 2-2, they're back in the game. But then it was another Sonus corner. I mean, how many Sonus corners have ended up in the back of the net for Canada? But Gilles, another header, poor from South Korea in a lot, to concede 2-3 goals to 10 players. It's pretty disappointing for them as a team that you'd kind of back in from Asia to be like one of like the, I don't know, the exemplar team. Like, I think Canada come out of this game thinking to themselves, you know what, we could take on Asia in a lot of ways. Like, this is the some of the best of Asia. I think their game, like, again, on one day they beat us, on another day they get packed in 4-0. So you don't really know what it means in certain games. But I think that Canada are an interesting side with some interesting players that even weren't playing in this game. Then I think when you look at that back line, we had Becky playing, we had Collins playing. Like, Sonus is great, but where, like, Ash Lawrence, is she involved in the future of this team? And you had Riviere on the bench, you had Buchanan and Awujo. Like, there is a semblance of depth. It's just how we utilize that. And as we said, D'Angelo, if Sheridan ever retires, is going to be the answer there, because I mean, Sheridan's job in the She Believes Cup will live forever in the realm of that penalty shootout. And I think she'll just stay our keeper, and she's done a great job in this game as well. So I think there is a lot to desire from South Korea in both games, but the reality is that Canada and Brazil looking the goods at good parts of this FIFA series as a whole. But we will move to, I mean, you call these friendlies, they aren't really they're friendlies by omission of it not being a FIFA series. But because I say the FIFA series are also just friendlies, I think they're just friendlies in some ways. But we have a 3-legged tie, basically, between the USA and Japan. It's a best of 3 games. It's like a Wii Sports moment where you're playing tennis and you choose game. We're playing 3 games, not 5. We're playing 3 games, and we have USA versus Japan. We'll get through the first game because it's kind of what we expected to happen in all 3 games. But that's not what's happened, but we'll get to that eventually. But USA 2-1 at home. Rose Lavelle, we love you. You're great. That was amazing. That finish, I don't know how you've ended up with that goal. Sometimes I watch Serena Wiegman ball and Emma Hayes ball, and I think to myself, what are they actually doing on the training ground to facilitate those kind of goals? Like, that's not something you get taught. Like, I'm sorry, there is no way Serena Wiegman is teaching Alessia Russo to scoop the ball like that. That's just individual brilliance. And then there's no way that Emma Hayes is going, hey, Rose, pick out this ball that's gone 20 meters into the air and flob it through a crowd of players that ends up in, and then Emma Hayes goes, I am God of women's football, I never lose games. And I mean, it's nearly true. They were on, I mean, this was the first time they conceded in 10 games, but they still did get the win. I think this was an interesting starting lineup to see Sophia Wilson back in the starting lineup. And I know you said here it is 2 of the 3 in the original triple espresso, but let's be honest, are we really saying that Alyssa Thompson is not like espresso in the capacity of like how she plays? Like, the reason they're called the triple espresso is the speed, the electrifying football, correct? That's all Alyssa Thompson is. She is a sprinter who can play football, and she is fantastic. Like, she's been really good for Chelsea. She's been really good for the US women's national team. And I just think Wilson is an interesting pick, I guess, with how good the form of some of the other US women's national team strikers in. It was a bold move.
I think that this particular starting lineup, bar Claudia Dickey and bar Wesley, is the starting lineup for the World Cup first game.
Do you agree with that? Like, do you think that should be?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think that there's a player outside of that. Maybe Ellie Sentinel, but at the same time, like, I think Sophia Wilson will have had a season of the NWSL in her bag. Like, this is going to be probably another standout Sophia Wilson season. She's been fantastic for Portland at the start of the season. I think Rose Lavelle remains that, 10/9, like, if you want to play a 4-4-2, then that's where she is.
It's that 10.5 thing.
The only player here, as I said before, other than Claudia Dickley and Wesley, who will have their own replacements, is Trinity Rodman. She gets the assist in this game. game. I didn't think she had the most fantastic game. However, I do think this is her best game coming back, including in the NWSL. So she had the support of Emily Fox, which she didn't actually have in the previous
The other
games.
games, yeah.
I think that her worst game for the US actually came against Portugal. That was a complete disjointedness.
But everyone played bad in that Portugal game.
Yeah, and then there was just a complete disjointedness of that team. And I think with this particular side against Japan, you called Spain and England a manufactured like rivalry. I think this is a true rivalry. This comes back from
this goes
nearly
yonkers. Yeah, the World Cups. Yeah, 2010. Yeah, 2011.
2011. This is a true, if the truest intercontinental or continental derby that you can get, because this is two teams that Emma Hayes wants to play Japan. If she could, she'd play Spain. Like that's obvious. This is a manager and an organization that is not shying away from playing against big teams. And I think if you're going to put out your best side, you might as well win. And that's what they did. They won, and I think that was a pretty good performance. I think for about 60 minutes, they completely overwhelmed Japan. Japan did come back in this game. I think that their subs made a big difference, but I mean, you can't have
Ueki's goal was very well
exactly.
taken. Yeah, and she's been amazing off the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, she was amazing in the Asia Cup. Like there was a genuinely. I think I called for her to get player of the tournament potentially off the bench. The way and Seiko were coming on and just impacting games. Obviously, we have to mention this is the first game with Michihasa Kano as the caretaker manager for Japan. As obviously Niels Nielsen did get basically taken away from the role, and it was spouted the lack of direction or lack of passion.
Was fake news.
Okay, that was fake news. Thank God.
No, his contract ran out, and he was just like, guys,
but they just didn't re-sign.
Yeah, and he's like, I did the job. Now, I don't think that should have been the case. They should have gone into the World Cup with Niels Nielsen.
Is that not a failure on behalf of the Japan FA to not keep the guy that's like? This must be the first manager that I can remember in recent memory that has not signed a contract after winning a major tournament.
I mean, I can name one, but I think there's a good reason. Well, you know who.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. But okay. For merit of meritocracy,
yes.
not trauma. Yes. Let's go about that realm. But ultimately, I think. I mean, I find it interesting that I agree. Wesley doesn't play ahead of oh my God, what's her name? Emily Sonnet. That's definitely the play. And Tullis Joyce is probably the number one for America.
Courtney Dickett had a fantastic game, by the way.
Oh, of course. And Japan facilitates one chance after another. That's how they play. They weren't that far ahead, and that just shows that North American champions versus AFC champions, they're really not that far, and Japan does have their number in some aspects. But I find it interesting that Smith is like in your head is just like kind of like boots on the ground, like she's starting.
It's the impact. It's the impact, and I think
she's got to. You don't think she's got to prove it? You think there's just a semblance of meritocracy in that? I
think it's one of those things that like. When Aitana comes back, and I know two completely different players, completely different scales.
I was about to say.
No, but to me...
Ballon d'Or winner, 3 in a row. Come on, yeah?
No, but it's that like old gloves type of thing. It's a worn shoe. She is this US team.
But that's what I mean in saying that take. I understand what you're saying. That take is meritocracy in a way that's like, actually no, it's the opposite. It's you've been here, you've done it before, you are US women's national team. It would be weird if you're not there, right? It would be weird if Sentinel was starting over you. However, on a semblance of meritocracy, you're looking at the best players in form playing at that time, right? And obviously there's another player that's not in. There's two players not in this lineup that I think to myself could easily be in the lineup based on where they play and how good they are when they're on form, which is Corbin Schrader, who probably just won't ever be in the national team for other reasons, ideological. But then the other one is Kat Macario, right? And Macario is a player that on form could arguably rival pretty much everyone in this US women's national team as the best player. We saw her in the nine. Yeah, and Lily Johannes, who's probably going to be in the midfield mix somehow, or rather, I think she will probably end up coming off the bench. I do not see Coffey, Heaps, or Lavelle taken out. That's the thing. Exactly. That's kind of that middle three is just crazy. But I do see a potential for Macario at the Wave to run amok in the NWSL when she finally gets her boots down and prove to everyone, look, I've changed clubs. I had a little bit of a falling out with Sonia, but I'm here and I'm still that girl. Because you know what? I mean, as much as I really hated Macario, but it was from a rivalry standpoint. It wasn't from an ability standpoint. I think she's unbelievable when she's on. The way she was playing against I believe it was Italy in those two friendlies. She was up front. I hadn't seen her up front in ages. We kind of laughed at Macario in the nine. She killed them. She absolutely killed them. And Rodman, yeah, I agree. Rodman is the Lauren James pick of the US women's national team, where she just will play because of what she can do on a given day. But I do think, I mean, Alyssa, I mean, if Swanson is an idea, then that's a question. I think Alyssa is better. Seeing the Thompson sisters run one side of the pitch was really cool.
That's so funny because I disagree. I think actually Melanie Swanson is the shoe-in. Like, out of all three, I actually think Swanson is the best of the pick because she's the most underrated. She's also she brings the most. I mean, she did score the goal to get them a gold medal.
She does have the best chance as well. Why don't you come on over, Mallory? No, they do go crazy for her. But yeah, look, would the US women's fans love to watch Triple Espresso in 2027? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably that's
100%.
what will get the most views. It'll probably get the most broadcasting sponsorships. Everything about Triple Espresso is still brandable in the ways that I don't understand, but also, again, this comes from a semblance of me respecting other players in their team more than I respect those three who are match winners in their own right, but haven't just proven it, not just this season, but for a long time. Triple Espresso isn't like it was last year. This was time ago. This is a phase of the US women's national team where they have to figure out their front three, and it's a good problem for Emma Hayes to have, obviously, because you can't have a lack of abundance of talent and then complain that your team's too good. But the situation is interesting in the sense that Talis Joyce is sometimes mistake prone, especially recently. They have a replacement. If Sophia Smith isn't delivering, I think Ali Sentinel is actually better than her, but that's it. You have Claire Hutton, you have Emma Sears, you have Moultrie, Johannes. These players all have the capacity to start, pretty much, in my head, if they're on form. I don't think I think Emma Hayes is better than just picking the players that, quote unquote, have earned the start through generations and stripes and militarize the US women's national team, in comparison to, you know what, if Lily Johannes bosses the show against Arsenal and runs the game, then okay, Lindsay Heaps, who knows, right? Who knows what happens? Sam Coffey, who knows? It is a question of Lily Johannes might be a player that ends up too good to leave out.
I agree to some extent, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, Emma Hayes has done the perfect thing in the run-up to this World Cup, which is pick different teams. She did it in this 3-game window in terms of the starting lineup for the first game was arguably her strongest. The second game was the quote-unquote B-side, but this B-side didn't win. And
but that's the point, right? So that's why I say, she does all the right things. She has all the right players, but on any given day, you can get beaten. And against Portugal, it was a rude awakening. Yeah. And then this second game is an even bigger awakening, in my opinion, because against Portugal, they scored. This game, for the first time in, 4 years, 42 games, I believe, that they've been shut out of a game. So it was February 27th. February 27th of 2024 was the last time.
Exactly, because I was 2023. They in their Sweden game. They didn't score.
Yes, no, correct. But no, in that 2-0 loss to Mexico in the CONCACAF, that was a third group game. She put out the second squad and they got shut out 2-0. Yeah. Obviously, they went a long streak without not conceding and not losing games, so a few 0-0 draws here and there. But this was a 1-0 smash and grab. This is Maika Hamano being Maika Hamano. This was actually remarkably similar to the final in a lot of ways, our game against them, in which they kind of just Lil Bro'd the US women's national team's second squad. They kind of just went, you can't score. And you know what's funny? That Japan didn't even play Yama in goal. They didn't have Yama in goal. Team. They didn't play their first team. Shimizu was running the back line. Minami was good. Saki was actually quite impressive. But the goalie, Okuma, was unbelievable. She made, I think, six saves.
Yeah.
Kept a clean sheet against the US women's national team, which you can take to the absolute grave. Shimizu had a goal line clearance on, I believe, a Sentinel chance that probably should have ended up in the back of the net. But again, this is where the technical brilliance of a player like Hamano, this is where Sonia must be watching this game thinking, okay, let's just recall this girl. She's done it against the US women's national team. She's won them the game on her own back. She's just won a final. She was pretty much amazing all tournament in the Asia Cup. What more does she have to do to get recalled?
I said this to you right after the game. It's, will they finally use Hamano, or will this be a wasted opportunity for Chelsea? And I think Hamano is arguably one of the most... Yeah, exactly. Anyone will take her. Literally anyone can take her. And I think
but you guys don't have any Japanese players. You don't take Japanese players.
We took one. He's played 13 games for us. We love it. Anyway, the thing about what's her name? Hamano. The thing about Hamano.
See, you already forgot her.
Exactly. The thing about Hamano is that she is one of those, like, in the Chelsea squad, she's forgettable. Unfortunately, they used her for PR, and that's basically it. And I know a lot of Chelsea fans don't want to admit that, but you know, when you stopped using Hamano, you weren't saying, where is she on the pitch? You were going, where is she in our TikToks? And
would you argue that their best game of this year was when Hamano was playing? Their first game against us?
Honestly, the game
City Chelsea game.
Yes, that's a perfect encapsulation. She was playing on that flank side on the left. She
inverted
completely demolished you guys. So she inverted so much so I thought she was playing as a 10 at one point. I think that she's so underrated and so perfectly used for Japan in ways that we haven't seen in club in Europe. And I think if Chelsea keep her, they have to use her. And if they don't use her, it'll just stagnate a rising stocks of this player, which are undeniably one of the best Japan have produced.
I'm just going to do a quick shout out. Hamano, your friend Ayoba plays for us. She loves it there. She comes off the bench, scores pretty much every time she comes off the bench.
But what about that Shimizu player?
More than welcome. I mean, Shimizu is more than welcome back, to be honest. I love Risa. Risa just really, really loves Gazball. I think that's the reason. Honestly, Hamano, actually, we didn't talk about this. Hamano could go to Liverpool, and then you have Hamano, Shimizu, but you have Hamano, Beta Olsen, and Enderman as the front three. Because we didn't even speak about the fact that Enderman has decided that at the end of the season, Enderman will be joining Liverpool, which, I mean, that as a front three would genuinely, like, I'm not even joking, Gazball gets Liverpool to, like, we're looking at top five realm. Yeah, we're talking they're better than Spurs, and they give United a go with that front three: Enderman, Hamano, and Olsen, with Denise O'Sullivan in the hole.
They actually need to keep
Falk in goal, Denise O'Sullivan in the hole, sign Patton. Sign Patton.
Ruby Mays.
Ruby Mays. Just build the super squad of underrated WSL and WOSO ballers in that capacity. But look, Hamano genuinely is, like, slowly becoming my favourite player, crucifying Chelsea at every point this season, basically deciding that Lauren James playing at a 6.5, 6 out of 10 for big portions of this season. I think that's kind of the issue, is that Hamano would want to be playing in the James spot, and James has proven herself in the last 6 to 8 games. But the problem is that Hamano needs to adapt, and the reality is that this game shows that she doesn't need to adapt. She needs to be playing on that right side where she does moments of magic like this. And I mean, shout out to Japan finally knocking off the big dogs, knocking off Team Soccer, and doing us all a favor, because this is something that's been a little bit of a wake up call for players like Rodman, Wilson, Giselle Thompson, Tierney Davidson, who are coming onto this game trying to match win and just not falling short of the equaliser, and they suffer their defeat. Emma Hayes goes into the press conference. They're going into this third game after we record, so it's actually tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah.
I predict them to go out, pretty much drop the hammer. The US women's national team, they'll go their full starting 11. I wonder how it will look, but I think Japan will go as well. And I think if Look, I think it'll be 2-1. I think it'll be similar to the first game in that way, but I think it'll be different actors. I
Will it
think
go to penalties? I really hope it does. The Yanks
I would
love
love
this.
I would love it, but I do think the USA get the better of them. Where is that? Where is that next game? Actually, I don't know
I think the
where the
last
third
one was
game
in
is.
Seattle, I think, and I don't know where the next one is.
Yeah, but I mean, look, if Japan do win this series over them, it would be absolute scenes, and we can roast team soccer for the days to come. But I think the players that need to step up. I mean, if Rodman can get them over the line in this game, it would shut a lot of people up, including us too. But the main actors, I think, that will just do the run the game in this game is that I love is that it's Yui versus Coffee, right? So the spine of both midfields is just it's just city practice, and Jägerlotz is probably just going to watch this game and going, wow, how are these metronomes just running the show? And I think they actually are direct opponents on each other in a lot of ways because of Sam Coffey's ability to nullify best teams midfielders, and Yui's ability to facilitate a metronome for the best team in Asia. But
I want to. I
yeah.
want to just quickly shout out Claire Hutton was as in this game is the youngest ever captain for the US Women's National Team. We have been tracking her rise since she went to BFC, and then we're saying how she deserves a move.
Every time we talk about her, we go baller. We just I think it would one word to describe Claire Hutton. The first word we say is baller, 100%.
But she is the Sam Coffey of the second B side of this US Women's National Team. I expected a bit more from her in this Japan game. I wonder if she comes on potentially even.
I think
for
she was
Olympic
better
Games.
I think she was better than Shaw. I think Shaw definitely left a lot to be desired. I think Jaden Shaw is one of those players that's turning into a moments player. That's turning into the big dog moments. Like you need someone to get you out of the hole. Yeah, exactly. She is that player that's in eighth. Like, don't doubt her. But when you're trying to string together game on game on game, I don't know if Jaden Shaw is the answer to that. And Lilia Harness got locked a little bit by Hayashi and Fuka Nagano, who is seriously had an unbelievable another player in that Liverpool midfield. Liverpool could just make a Japanese 11 and just run the show against us. But that is all we have for the Japan games. As we do a quick segment on the Under-20s Asia Cup, where Australia came crashing out in the quarterfinal to be fair, the defending champions.
The defending world champions.
The defending world champions, yes. They are unbelievable. DPRK, which is what I thought they were going to end up doing in that game against us in the seniors final. But this under-20s game was a rude awakening, and it was early on. 3 minutes in, that ball across the box, we were catching strays at the back post. It wasn't particularly pretty. I don't think we facilitated many a chance to actually get back in this game, and they were just rifling shots until they developed a very healthy lead in that 3-0. It was late on, but they delivered the crushing blows in the 73rd minute was the second goal. And look, do I think who was in goal? I forgot her name, but could she have done better for the second goal? Probably.
Might come on the pod. Ilya,
Ilya, exactly. But the third goal is just this never give up attitude where we're just trying to get there, and then our keeper goes down, and then that was it, and that was the 3-0. But it's one of those things where I think to myself, is this North Korea side, this young team, the under-20s, are they just going to build into their senior side and develop a serious international threat without it sounding like a political issue? They are just an unbelievable team. And maybe it is low-key parable to the political threat, because we don't actually know how good they are, and then they'll just decimate everyone. But they are so good,
No, but this game, I think, more for North Korea than Australia, was just more of that building block. I think they're going to absolutely swamp Japan, despite Japan having a pretty decent tournament, including thrashing Australia in their run up to the final. I think in terms of Australia, this is basically a litmus test for the W League. In my opinion, I think a lot of maybe Australian commentators don't want to look at it like that because it's a bit pessimistic. But I think in terms of the best under-20 players in the W League, this is basically an all-stars game. And they did fine. They were great in moments, but we are so dependent of individuals in this game. The system I don't think supports some of the best players in this team. I'm looking at Prakash, I'm looking at Butras, I'm looking at
Eunice.
Talia Yunus, and I think that those players are just so better than the system that they're being hampered into, which is that traditional football that we play in Australia that I kind of hoped we grow out of because we'd seen it. I mean, I don't know if you've been watching some of the other youth teams. I've been watching the Euros that are happening, the under 23 Euros, and I'm seeing genuine system and tactical nous in these young players. And I'm going, now I'm not thinking that like our under 20s are going to be like the people who are walking the fire for us in terms of women's football. But if we're going to a World Cup that is under 20s, knowing that in the next, iteration, those under 20s are going to be in our seniors team, like they are going to be out tacticked, out systemed by teams and by organizations that are willing to put genuine effort into setting up a team that is like able to play on a world in a world stadium, world class arena in the way that, look, DPRK don't know how to do because they don't play against these teams. But that is a perfect example of system taking precedent and having the effects that it does.
But it's also the difference between a champion team and a team of champions, right? So like I can't ascribe to how good DPRK
Yeah.
should be or will be, but also the fact that they probably train with each other insularly in their own leagues, and they have the ability to facilitate this super team of youth players that are going to get older and better and probably end up in World Cups, giving like humbling teams that probably have put more effort in their teams respectively but don't have the systemic nous to control the games like DPRK can. I think that semi-final, the game after where they played against South, it was the North v South semi-final, and they gave them a 3-0 lashing, and the first goal was just this absolutely ripper long shot that killed off the game. But it's their possession, it's their aggression, it's their ability to play high confidence passes, chipping the ball over the top, taking on the goalies, taking on every single chance that they can from outside the box. Some of the long shots they were taking against us in the quarterfinal, they're going to do it to Japan. I think Japan, this is the fifth final in a row that they've played in. They haven't won, they didn't win the last one, but I think Japan will give them a go, and they did beat China 2-0 in that semi-final to get there and scored 2 very convincing goals. It was a very convincing game, but this North Korea side is crazy in the sense of that I don't think teams in Europe and teams in North America know at all what's coming for them in World Cups, in Asia Cups. I mean, even we in this tournament, everyone was like, "Oh, I can't believe North Korea is so good." It's like, well, okay, their youth teams are not just beating teams in Asia; they're beating Spain 4-1 in World Cup finals. This is what we're going to be competing against. This is teams that have been developed from 17 years old, where their under-17s won the World Cup as well. And this is a 5-year project in fruition where we're going to get to a point where Spain, the US, England, and North Korea is the fourth in this Mount Rushmore of teams where you're just like, what the hell? Why are they so much better than everyone? And it's because they've built this project and it's coming into fruition. Their under 20s are going to be 22, 23, 24. So the next 5 years, they can only get better than what they are now. And watching that quarterfinal and the semi-final, I think to myself, holy crap, we're in so much trouble, I think. And in some ways, it's like really exciting that there are genuine countries out there that are willing to invest time and effort into their women's team structures, their international structures, in ways that obviously European countries can't, right? Because obviously the European players, if you're the best player for Denmark, you don't play in Denmark, right? If you're the best player for Slovenia, you don't end up in Slovenia for very long. That's just how it is, right? Those B-tier European sides don't have that luxury. But if you have the luxury to do it, then teams are going to do it and build WOSO dynasties out of it. And me and Leggy warned you that North Korea have a team that's looking to shake up WOSO in ways that honestly not many people can. I don't think many teams can shake up WOSO or break the mold, especially, and then in Menso, you can't break the mold at all. You can throw as much money at the problem as possible. There's no way. This is the first time where we have like Michelle Kang-like structure in a way that's like, I want to change the fabric of WOSO, and these under 20 like machines that North Korea have built are going to be absolutely scary for a long time.
It's so funny because I think like Michelle Kang, there's like a genuine ambition to put her foot into like what has been like a real like cesspit of women's football. It's been the same faces, the same people. She wants to shake it up a bit. It's so funny because North Korea, I don't actually think that's their ambition. Like I don't think that they want to be like the hegemon of women's football. I just think that they want to represent their state in the best way that they could. And it's one of those things
They're
where
doing it
ideology,
100%.
it's one of the things where ideology is reflected in what you produce. And in this case, it's the production of a fantastic youth system in women's football.
Yeah, but it's like the dream. Like we take the piss out of this. Like we're like, oh, imagine how fun it would be to do youth academy career mode, but in real life. North Korea are doing that. This is like when you get like 3 5-star youth academy products, and they all go to the same country, and they just pull out, extract the greatest like La Masia-esque products for you, and you all play together, and you've played together for so long. Their movements, their timings. That when I was watching Eunice and Prakash, they don't play together enough. They never play together enough. And I mean, we don't play enough football in this country as a whole. I mean, the dub season's over in about what 4-5 weeks. Like that's it, and then they all go to the NPL. Like these teams play don't play enough games with each other. We don't play enough games as a whole. Going up against teams that play double the amount of games and just control the show in ways that we potentially might never will if we look back at this moment in Australia's history as a quote-unquote golden generation, right? Like there's a way to look at it like that.
It's funny because the NWSL, like literally like 24 hours ago, just put into effect that their season will be running coinciding with European seasons.
Yeah, they've facilitated it.
That's a genuine effort to try and level up with the European style of football that Australian football just does not want to do. We're like leagues behind in that way.
And I think we will stay leagues behind unless we have a genuine ambition to switch up the game. So, Kieran Perkins, we're here. You want us involved? We'll change up the game. Absolutely.
We will never talk shit about you ever.
We're not even going to the top of Football Victoria. We're going to the Minister for Sport of Australia with Kieran Perkins there. Yeah, let us run football and our funding for football, and you'll see our youth teams rival North Korea in ways that you never believed or dreamed of. But that moves us into the Benchwarmers Awards. We will start with Never Bench Again. Who did I put for Never Bench Again? I put Priscilla Chinchilla. Yes, we didn't talk about this game. Yes, we had a magical moment in football. Yeah, so I have to talk about Prisca. Prisca Chinchilla is a baller and a half. There's no other way to describe it. She's a Costa Rican, not wonder kid. She's 24 years old. She plays for Atleti. She needs to play more games for Atleti. She's not playing enough for Atleti. But when she's playing for Costa Rica, that is what we see. So they played against the Cayman Islands. They won 21-0, and my girl Prisca scored 7 goals in a game. You are the answer. This is like Viv could only dream of 7 in a game. She scored 4 6 times. She scored 6 once, but has she scored 7? No. So there you go. Prisca over Viv.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Prisca Chinchilla, baller, have to play. Jensen dreams of scoring 7 goals. I'm just thinking of all the strikers that Atleti have.
And whether they've
scored. Have they scored 7 goals this season, let alone 7 goals in a game? Probably not. So yeah, Prisca, we're watching you. We know what you're doing, and sorry, Cayman Islands, you copped that L.
My Never Bench Again. I think it would be really easy to say just the whole starting lineup of the USA for their second game against Japan, but that would like be disrespecting like Emma Hayes's ambition
Never bench
to
again.
try
Wait,
and...
never bench again. The first lineup? Are you saying? Is that the
never
argument?
bench them. Yeah, that was what I presumably would have put if I was evil and like not recognizing Emma Hayes.
No, it's not evil. It's just called an agenda, Leggy. So this is that we got to know that every time we're mean to someone, it's just an agenda.
But I have to be the pro-US, not pro-US, but like a little bit more.
You have to be more pro-US because of me
on this
podcast.
podcast.
That's true.
So, but I'm actually taking your lot, and I'm taking Vanessa Gilles. I think
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
they put out basically their starting lineup against South Korea, except for Vanessa Gilles. She comes on, completely changes the game. They have 10 men, and she comes on and she completely changes the game.
Is that not a super sub of the week in a lot of realms?
No, I'm saying that's never benched again because I don't think that she should ever be benched again
I
for
agree with
Canada.
that. I do agree. I don't know why. I guess maybe because of injury, she just got back
Yeah,
into the
maybe, but
buy-in side, I guess. But
I don't know.
that I do agree. I feel like she could have got both Never Bench Again and Super
And
Sub of the Week.
super sub,
Yeah,
true.
but
Yeah.
my Super Sub of the Week was Kerolin.
Yeah.
That performance off the bench is everything I love about Brazilian football. It's everything I love about Kerolin. It's everything I love about Andre Yeglurtz's capacity to facilitate for Kerolin in the second half of this season when she came back from injury. And I mean, dare I say, like this is like those like compilations where people talk about like who's one player that no one would say, no one would agree with you, but could potentially win a Ballon d'Or in the future. And I
Yeah.
think Carolyn is close to that answer. I think she is the one player where she can like utilize it's not just how good she is, but how easy she makes it look, and like the aesthetic of her play is kind of Ballon d'Or like in that way.
I think she's like as much as a Ballon d'Or contender as Lauren James is. I'm not saying that they're the same player, but I think that if you're a Ballon d'Or panel and you're looking
Yeah.
at the impact that they can have, it's like we talked about with Lauren James. Can she do it across a whole season? Will she be that influential for City? We don't know.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. Lauren Hemp. Lauren Hemp is one of those players that's like always in the mix. I think Lauren Hemp has just also been doing it for longer, and Ballon d'Or is also a lot about the body of work you have. So whether Carolyn can continue this into the World Cup and potentially the next season as well. Well, I mean, the next season is before the World Cup, so the Champions League run into the World Cup, that would be the exciting
Yeah.
form of Carolyn Nicole Ferraz, who I would love to see at the top of the table in terms of not just like us being at the top of the Champions League and the top of the Prem, her being at the top of everyone's list going, you know what, like, okay, Clara Bull's the best on the left side, but it's actually and Caro and Carolyn and JRK and all the other wingers, they're the rest, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I think, because maybe it's Diani in that way, who knows, but I think Carolyn needs to be in that mix soon. Who's your super sub of the week?
Johnny Thompson for Denmark. I think
Nice.
that it's just important that Denmark got this result. I also think I had to put her in there because of just how much I underestimated Denmark and how this super sub completely changed their fortunes going into the World Cup qualifiers. And now 3 points ahead of Sweden and Italy. They basically only need one more win, maybe just a couple of draws, and
A
they're
draw.
completely through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Johnny Thompson ruining Stina Blackstenius's debut
I
captain
can't believe
moment.
it.
I mean, it was crazy.
I can't believe it.
Horrifying.
I can't
But, I
believe
mean,
it.
come on the FOD this week. I have not gone good. I have gone as bad as it can be, really. I've gone for Sam Kerr and Mackenzie Arnold, not for their performances. I think they were fine. Actually, Maka was actually really good in both games. But their relative social media outputs were just horrendous this week. Just so out of touch. So the word I'm going to use is media illiterate. I think that is the way to describe it. Sam Kerr
Particularly.
nibbling on comments that you really didn't need to nibble on, but also maybe not respecting the fact that you are in a country, not just a continent, and recognizing the ability to just be precise and genuine as a capacity. For anyone who didn't see, she just said that she was in Africa, and like, I mean, you are in a country in Africa, and different countries in
And then, like,
Africa have
kept
different culture, and then kept
and they
doubling
kept
down on
bantering.
it.
It was
Yeah,
this weird,
doubling
like,
down on it.
bantering
Yeah,
bit with like randoms on Snapchat when like
yeah.
it's so sad as well. Like the fact that she was asked in a press conference before the Kenya game, you are
Ah,
looked up
yes,
to
by
by the
Kenyan women.
whole squad.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
girls look up to you. And then she was asked, how would you respond? And then she goes, keep going, all this crap. And I was like, you literally like perpetuating these like racist microaggressions,
Yeah.
and you're saying one thing in your PR sense, and then your like abhorrent like comments on social media
Yeah.
on another. It's just completely hypocritical, and so like It's so Australian as well. I hate to say it.
I mean, it's even worse. I'm gonna sound like such a Luddite here. Can I just say, Snapchat is the worst social media of
Why is
all
it
of them.
so,
Why does
WOSO
everyone
filled?
have it? Why
Why?
does
Oh
everyone
my
have
God.
Snapchat?
It's like 12-year-olds.
The Benchwarmers will never be on Snapchat,
Yes,
by the way.
thank you.
We are on Instagram, Spotify. We're not at the outro yet. We will never be on Snapchat.
No.
There will never be a Benchwarmers AWOSO Snapchat.
Jesus.
There is no way. And I had to mention Mackenzie Arnold as well because of she was in Wales, I believe. Was that
I don't know
what
whether
happened?
this was this was like a resurfaced thing.
Yeah,
I think
a
it was like a
resurfaced thing, because-
compilation of all
yeah,
the
of-
microaggressions
that the Tillies have had
yeah.
on Snapchat, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was that whole, like, she had a sign in Welsh and a sign in English and said, how do these things say the same thing? It's because they're different languages, Chief. It's not
Jesus.
English. It's not
The
hard.
ignorance,
Yeah,
Jesus.
and then again, people backing them, doubling down, going like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Welsh's language is so weird." Who? What? Our language is stupid.
Kenzie Arnold wishes she could get a game for a freaking Welsh team right now. Just playing in the
Yeah, nah, you know what? Like, Macca's form, and actually Sam's form in a lot of ways, 7 goals in 9 games. Like, respect on the field, but off the field, just, like, you are so important to the output of what the Tillies are on and off the field. Both of you. You're the top and the bottom of the spine of our team. Just take a second before you post something. And also, you guys probably have media teams. You just do. And I know Snapchat is one that kind of just falls by the wayside because you can make them so quickly and they delete so quickly and all that stuff. But my God, people just have media teams and production teams that don't get things over the line sometimes, and it's a bit disappointing. Anyway, on weird transition, who's your come on the pond?
Well, I mean,
is this
as
another
we-
media team and production
yeah.
team? Maybe.
I mean,
yeah.
as we move on from microaggressions, do we now move on into like literal macroaggressions, which was Rachel Daly and Millie Bright's horrendous YouTube thumbnail for their recent podcast video. If you don't know, they use the infamous quote.
Do they not
unquote.
still? Is it not still up, or did they?
I
change
think they've
it?
changed it. I think they
Okay.
changed it as time of recording.
Congratulations.
But they put up the infamous quote unquote image of Lauren James stepping on the Nigerian player in the 2023
Michelle
World Cup.
Alozia.
Michelle Alozia. I just want to say I'm not really the person to talk about this. I feel like there are a lot of other people right now in WOSO talking about this, talking how horrendous this is. I just wanted to mention it because like everybody knows the shit LJ went through, and especially in this particular moment, like no matter how bad it was, no matter the offense that it caused on the pitch in the footballing sense, it was a completely unfootball act on the footballing pitch. The using of this picture as clickbait for your podcast is the shittiest thing you can do, and just invites the most unnecessary and 90% of the time racist hate. And I think it's weird, it's deeply strange for a player who you are playing with at club football, who you probably profess to being your friend, as now taking the position of power, the position of like so blatantly whiteness in this like very like an ecosystem of women's football podcasting, as we know ourselves as being very white and very dominated by our voices, and putting an image that is going to elicit so much racism in your comments and just across the internet. It's so like icky and disgusting. I don't trust these white women. I don't trust Millie Bright, to be honest with you. I think she's a very strange person online, but this was like particularly out of order.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess using the photo is interesting. Not, I don't know if it's necessarily the issue. I find the issue is that they're like doing the fake like YouTube PR reaction to it, like
and also the Nigeria game broke us.
It's actually compounding. I actually think if they just had the photo of it, it wouldn't actually be as harmful, because you're talking about the context of the game that did affect Millie Bright as a part of that team. And that was a big moment in that World Cup that led to a lot of things happening, especially the fact that Lauren James was peak form in that World Cup. Yeah. That was probably the best I've seen Lauren James play, to my recent memory at least, other than her pickup in form now, which is getting close to that, but still not there, where she was literally, before that Nigeria game, running the show for Serena. But it was the reaction. It's the pseudo fake reaction of it that makes it look artificial. And honestly, these two don't need that. They have the platforms. They are still playing. Millie Bright is the most decorated WSL defender by a country mile. And like, this is just a weird moment where I mean, it's weird to go like podcast to podcast and be like, okay, you've missed the ball. But like, obviously, our thumbnail game is not doing enough. we are not providing the same level of intrigue and thumbnail that they are. But,
Should we do like a reaction to
their reaction?
Yeah, so we have the
so
same
you ready?
face.
3, 2, 1. There we go. That's mine. That's mine. Mine is this podcast broke us. Yeah, that's what we call this. But we're not that cruel. But ultimately, like, it is just like obviously not a decision that they made. But I don't like the idea that they are not, again. We are two people that don't have the luxury or the platform to have editing teams do it for us. We are involved in every decision in how our podcast outlooks, whereas these guys are players, ex-players, both respectively, that have time and luxury to do other things and not focus on what comes out in their brand, right? So, like, there is a little bit of that privilege in the element of the fact that they are on-screen talent, not off-screen talent, and they are being marqueed as very weird on-screen talent at the moment. But that is all we have for us harpooning multiple podcasts. Who's next? Counterpress, you want some? No, I actually love Counterpress. They shout out Counterpress, and they actually called out Lauren. They called out the Lauren James situation with Millie and Rachel, rightfully so, and gave the updates as due. But that is all we have for the Benchwarmers Awards as we move into our final segment. What would Kang do? Number 32. Yes, that rhymed. I knew you were going to call it out. But 32 is a big number. I know it's a big number in Australian women's football for Kyra Cooney-Cross. But when you mention 32 to any person in America, the first name that they're going to think of is a magical basketballer. Emphasis on the magic. Magic Johnson, Irvin Magic Johnson, number 32. He is also Kang's investing partner in crime. Magic, when magic and spirit combine, is it heaven or is it religious indoctrination? That's the real question. But basically, I have to work out what magic can bring to the table. Magic, for all the leggy people out there who have no idea about Magic Johnson's, like, I'm gonna WOSOify his awards and legitimate, like, relevance. I'm gonna give you each of his, like, honors breakdown just in the NBA and for the US team, because it doesn't really make sense for me to explain, like, his high school stuff. That's stupid. That's like explaining someone's academy goals. Like, what's her name? Was it Martina Fenger scored 120 goals in her academy season or something like that? But no, let's just do it from the top level. So imagine Magic is playing in the WSL, right? He has 5 league titles. Yeah, he has 5 league titles. He has 3 WSL Player of the Years. Yeah, he has, and then imagine. Actually, it more ascribes to the NWSL because they have the playoff as well, right? So we have 5 NWSL titles. No, but Champions League's a bit different because it falters in a bit of ways. So you have a 5-time NWSL champion, 3 most valuable player MVP awards in the NWSL. Then in the playoffs is finals MVP, like player of the final series, 3 times, right? Team of the season 9 times, yeah, which is crazy. And then the season, your rookie of the year season, you're in the team of the season, like number 2. You're in the second team. I think they do have that in the NWSL. They have second teams, yeah. Let's say the NWSL had an All-Star game. He's a 12-time NBA All-Star, yeah, and has won the MVP twice for that. And then this is where we get into the ridiculous stats. Has topped the assist charts in the NWSL for 4 seasons, 3 in a row as well. And then was a two-time defensive clearance leader, so he was NBA steals leader. He was Player of the Week 18 times, Player of the Month 6 times. He's just ridiculous. They retired his number 32. That's also part of the process. And then for the US, in his only tournament playing, yeah, they won the World Cup final like 8-0. That's how good his team was, and he was also a gold winner. He was also a Tournament of the Americas gold winner as well. He's lost 3 finals out of 9.
Wow.
So he's got a 6-3 record in finals. He is ridiculous. Then we have the Spirit. We have Washington Spirit, who've won 1 league, 1 cup, runners up 3 times in the league, runners up once in the cup final, and has 1 MVP in Crystal Dunn, 2 golden boots, like not enough defenders, rookies, or best team of the season players. How... That's the question. What would Kang do? The question is why we've brought in Magic Johnson. This guy is a serial winner. We have Washington Spirit, serial second place. Yeah. How do we add a little bit of magic? This is not really what would Kang do. This is what would Kang do Magic Edition.
I think that the thing about basketball that I know so much about is that it's such like an insulated sport, right?
Yes.
Like it's so American focused. Like you go overseas, like you're playing Euroball, right?
Yeah.
I think what Washington Spirit need is to keep Trinity Rodman there for another 15 years. I'm being so serious. She needs to be there for another 15 years to even try and reach the accolades of Magic
Trinity Johnson.
But that's the thing is that of course it would be Rodman. Because it's a basketball. Come on, walk with me here.
Dennis,
right?
Dennis Rodman.
Look, I don't know much about him other than like I watched that documentary and he has cool hair. But
also he was not Trinity Rodman's dad for most of it. Like he was a horrible dad. Great basketballer.
Call Me Daddy, call your whatever.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But Trinity, yes, the goal of Trinity Rodman is to be Trinity Magic Johnson. I don't disagree with that. And his first name is Irvin, which is so close to earning that there's some.
It's so close to Trinity. I was like,
no. It's so close to earning that obviously it's earning Magic Johnson. That's what he is. As a WOSO owner, you when you meet up with Kang, your name just gets economized and commodified. So earning Magic Johnson has transferred his title to Trinity Magic Rodman. It's Trinity Magic Rodman, which is TMR. TMR Magic. But ultimately, I think the most important part of this is that Magic Johnson's team, when they were playing, he had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He had this amazing team. They won 5, but they won 3 in a row. They were called the Showtime Lakers. They were called the Showtime Lakers. If that's not a ploy to call them Showtime Spirit, or the last 10 minutes of every game, they call it It's Showtime, and then Magic's in the corner. They light him up in his galley. You know like how Michelle and them sit on that little the little gallery there as the 2 co-owners. They just call it Showtime Spirit. Showtime Spirit. Show your voice. Show your spirit. They just need to commodify Spirit in a way that if NWSL wins, when the NBA wins, they call themselves world champions. Why are NWSL winners and NWSL runner-up, let's say Washington Spirit finish second again. Call yourself the second best team in the world. No one's going to stop you. Everyone will think you're just not, they're not going to say you're stupid. They're just going to say you're an American team. Yeah, exactly. And nothing is more American, nothing is more magic than the delusion of them absolutely winning everything in their own country and calling themselves world champions as the center of the universe. But I'm so excited to see what Magic can do he's been there for 2 years. But he's been there for 2 years. He's done the stuff off the field. Now it's time for him to affect on the field.
He really should produce an air. He should produce an air.
Yeah, what? And as in a shoe?
Then no, as in if there's a Rodman air, there should be a Magic Johnson air.
Oh, a Johnson air. Okay, I get what you mean. Maybe you're saying air H-E-I-R. I was Air Jordan. What are you on about? But no, I think the Showtime Spirit are going to be. It's going to catch on. NWSL Watch is just going to be. I'm just going to call them the Showtime Spirit, which is SS Rodman. Showtime Spirit Rodman. What do you mean SS Rodman? It's the Rodman ship. The Rodman train. But you're taking it the wrong way.
Yeah, sure.
But that is all we have for What Would Kang and Magic Do? And that is all we have for the podcast this week. I hope you enjoyed. We are on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok doing our short form. We see you guys are loving the TikToks. We just crossed 200,000 views on TikTok. We know you want full audio visual experience. Go to YouTube for that. If you just want audio listening in the car, that's Spotify. And if you want us to download Snapchat, fuck you. We're not never getting it. That's your
Fair
fault.
enough.
That's your
Yep.
fault. Enjoy the Tillies on Snapchat. We will get it on. Actually, if you want our takes on things, that's X. We do yap on X a little bit.
Not me. Not me.
No, you don't yap on
Does.
X. You don't have your yappy take. You used to have takes on X, to be fair.
I said like one thing on X and I didn't get any likes, so I stopped.
Warra X take. Warra X interactions. But yes, we're on those four, the big four, the four that matter. We love making content for all of you because this is what we do. WOSO is the best. Even when there's no league on, there's international breaks that provide us content on content on content, and we can provide football content for you, not just working on every second, not just looking up every hour, not just scouting every day, but covering WOSO every week.
Every week?
Every week?
Every week.
Thank you very
keep
much.
going
for
three
listening.
times.
Yeah, because it's 3 times in the show for anyone
know,
who
but
doesn't
you've been
listen
doing
to
it
us.
twice.
It's the in-betweeners bit. Are you
It's
broken,
32.
Leggy? Are you broken, Leggy? Nah, you're not broken, but we do cover it every week. Thank you.
Suitcase wanker.
Suitcase? It's bus. It's bus wanker. WOSO podcast wanker. Thank you all for listening and have a great day.
I just wanna see a smile.